We meet three people in Arrangement in Black by Dorothy Parker from 1927. First we have the woman with the pink velvet puppies, but we never get her age or name, neither her first name or her last name. She is a talkative white woman who is married to Burton. He is also a white man. She is at a party where her husband cannot attend. She is companioned by the host when she arrives. The woman is very excited to meet this black singer, Walter Williams. Before meeting him, she talks to the host about her opinion about colored people. She is not repelled by black and white people mixing, quoting her talking about colored laundries on page 2, line 20. And I want to tell you, I think of her as a friend. That's the way I think of her. When she goes to talk to Walter, she approaches him by calling him Mr. She knows that her husband will not like that. After their conversation, she tells the host that she was very concerned with sounding racist. The host does not say much throughout their conversation. Most of the time, he's pleasing the woman and telling her that she's right. Not once does he say anything that could upset her. It makes him seem like very polite. He does not leave her side and companions her this whole time. He seems to respect the woman and does not want to embrace her. Quoting him at page 2, line 14, "Oh, no, no, no. He could have told her yes and embraced her, but he did not choose to do so. He does not seem to repel with her opinion about black and white people." The text is quite formally written. No coarse words are used or any slang. It seems as if the woman and the husband is part of the upper class, they are no less than the middle class. She also points out that he cannot attend because he was too tired to move. We do not know why. It could be because he's old, working late, or something completely else. While reading the text, you notice how many sentences are starting off with why. It's how they used phrases back then, and it's just an example of the time the text was written in. Beside hearing that the party is for Walter Williams, we do not know much. We hear that there is a bookcase where he's standing. Others are talking to him, therefore the woman has to wait until he's done talking to them. Considering the racist time, it is not common to host a party for a black man. It is not something that was done often. The woman also points out to the host how good he is for Walter to have a party hosted for him, and that he's lucky to get to meet all these white people, as he was privileged. But he really is. Not many was able to do that, to do the same as him back then. That is probably why she asked the host if Walter isn't terrible grateful. Where in America you are from at this time might affect how you feel about colored people. The woman tells us that her husband is from Virginia and says, as if it is commonly known, that you know how they are. By that it seems pretty obvious that she's not from Virginia. Maybe she's from a state that's more open-minded towards colored people. She keeps telling herself and the host that she has nothing against colored people. By respecting Walter, she proves that she's not lying about hating colored people. Interpreting this text is easy to do while reading it. The woman comes off as a rich, white, and privileged woman who no one stands up to. She does her best to be her best version, but the host does not seem to want to offend her by giving her his opinion upon the subject about black and white. Neither does the black singer. Walter tells her anything that could shake or upset her. Taking the times into consideration, it is easy to assume that no one would dare to tell her what they really think of her and the racial conversation. In the text that was Jim Chow, we hear some notes from these times, quoting the text on page 2, section F. Whites did not use courtesy titles of respect when referring to blacks. For example, Mr., Mrs., Miss, Sir, or Ma'am. Instead, black were called by their first names. Blacks had to use courtesy titles when referring to whites and were not allowed to call them by their first names. When the woman approached Walter, she always calls him, not always, but she calls him Mr., not Walter. Not the host corrects her. They just let it slide. It was thrown upon at this time not to call him by his first name, but she does not care about that. Page 2, section 8 describes how Walter cannot offer the woman his hand, as he can then be accused of rape. But when she offers him her hand, does not refuse. You can assume that it is out of fear of making her angry and accusing him for something, but he is also risking a lot by accepting her hand. Martin Luther King and the speech "I Have a Dream" is a symbol of an ideal future for the black people. A quote from the speech: "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character." Many of his points can be linked to the text that can be portrayed as an example of what he was fighting against. The woman's husband view on colored people and their place in the society is the best example. He does not mind black people if they just take care of their positions, but he would never, not even for money, sit down and share a meal with them. Martin Luther King wants them to be equal. For a black and white man to sit down together and have dinner, with Burton's view on black people, that will never happen. But Martin Luther King will forever dream about equality.